Offense. Arm Ukraine.
Self-defense is not offense. Arm Ukraine.
Self-defense is not offense. Arm Ukraine.
Self-defense is not offense. Arm Ukraine.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
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 Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава!
Thank you, and thank you, Pablo. So again, once again, a few things I'd like to mention. Of course, the counter rally I have planned for. I keep saying it each week for next Saturday, 10:30 in the morning, outside 4 Mabledon Place, Mabledon Place, London, WC1H9BB. That's again halfway more or less between Euston and King's Cross tube stations. Like I said, this is the counter rally I'm planning against the so-called Stop the Wars meeting, annual general meeting. So Sustojitatis Ivitatis, meet and greet. Needless to say, there'll be no Ukrainians invited to their meeting, but we can still provide the greeting. And I've mentioned information. I've sent information out on the whereabouts of it, and so if anyone has my contact details, to pass it on to those that don't. And I've tried to give information about some of the speakers. There are 2 known Lukashenko sympathizers, so I need lots of Belarusians there as well. Thank you. And like I said, you have their president, Brian E. Know Nothing, who's been a regular guest on Russia Today, and an MP with a stalking conviction. Evidently convicted stalkers know what's best for Ukraine other than the Ukrainians. But again, I would like to just, like I said, address this and squash forever this sham idea of negotiations, which has arisen. That there should be negotiations, there should be peace talks. That is absolute rubbish. This call for so-called negotiations has only arisen as this invasion has obviously, as we've seen, gone disastrously for Russia. And under these conditions, there should be no such negotiations. All this would do would then leave what is being illegally occupied by Russia, those areas and the people there to their fate. And then, as history has shown us, give it possibly a few years, possibly a matter of months, maybe even a matter of weeks, before Putin or Russia invents another excuse to launch another invasion. No. Some would say that that Ukraine somehow provoked Russia. Rubbish. Or Ukraine is an independent country and is entitled, as the right to defend itself, to seek help from whoever it decides to take it to. And Russia should have no say in what Ukraine does or in what any other country does. And no wonder. You say the war has been going on for 9 years. In one way, it could have gone back 876 years since the very founding of the Muscovy province. In 1147, it has always been a threat. Bear in mind that there are still fanatical Russian ultra-nationalists who still fantasize about regaining Alaska. I've seen the photographs. If I could send them to anyone, but no, we have to confront this sham idea of so-called peace talks and negotiations spread by this so-called Stop the War, who have got nothing to do with peace, but are merely nothing more than a fan club on the front for dictatorships, which I keep reminding you, they are lucky enough not to have to live under. Given some of the mentality of some of these so-called Stop the War people. I'll give you an example. I remember I was speaking to one of them, and she says to me, "I'd like a world with no weapons." That's beautiful. But what is Ukraine supposed to do in order to defend itself? I said to her, "Sing John Lennon songs?" I just said it, as a joke, Tragically, she took me seriously. She says, then sing John Lennon songs. But, like I said, so as far as Russia is concerned, any country on its borders which is really trying to safeguard its independence and its democracy and its freedom, especially given the centuries of history behind it, would somehow be provoking Russia. So, and as Pavlov pointed out, where did you get that saying, arms keep peace? Is that a friend of yours from Switzerland? Because even Switzerland, with their mountains, know that they need a strong armed forces. Remember that one country with some of the highest mountains of the world, including half of Mount Everest on its territory, Tibet, the mountains couldn't save their independence. And as far as I'm concerned, Ukraine has a right to do whatever it wants to do. Personally, I think it should be a part of NATO. It doesn't have, sadly, given its inherent vulnerability, with sharing a long border with a country intent on its destruction, and as beautiful as it doesn't have particularly high defensible mountain country. Needless to say, Ukraine has every right to do what it needs to do, to get any help it has, to defend itself. And so this is part of the reason why I'm organising this, to put down forever any sham demands for so-called peace talks and negotiations on those which are completely unrealistic terms. I remind you, of course, this whole thing could be ended immediately with Russia withdrawing and getting out of Ukraine immediately. But like I said, remember the counter rally next week at 4 Mapleton Place, WC1B, WC1H 9BB. But anyway, I've given the information to some of you. So those who don't, you have the information. So thank you for your time. Shavua Tov, have a good week. Jimmy Belarus, Slava Ukraine, and
Air defense for Ukraine!
Air defense!
For Ukraine!
Air defense!
For Ukraine! Air defense for Ukraine!
Thank you very much, Tommy, and thank you very much, guys. He made some very good points now, and we will make a little bit of a musical break now, guys. So enjoy.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!